Greetings, and as usual, welcome to another video. And today, I'm doing something that, I've honestly wanted to for a while. I'm debunking a theory from game theory, which, honestly, kind of surprising. Generally speaking, even when it's proven false, I usually think that game theory makes valid points that I completely agree with. Except, as you can tell from probably reading the title, I'm referring to his video where he talked about the lightsaber and the Halo energy sword, on which would be the better weapon. And honestly, his arguments really kind of sucked. So, first, and as you know, I do videos where I debate who would win in fights, but this is just strictly comparing two weapons. And in the spirit of debunking him, I'm going to go over everything. First off, he described what the rules were, being only the weapons, not paying attention to the people who wield it. Which makes sense, we're talking about the weapons alone. And then, after that, he went on about what the weapons are, and he was right there. Both of them are plasma-based weapons, with containment fields keeping them within their shape. But he didn't really go over the handles. That's really all I had to say there. The handle's shape is also very important, but... And then, after that, he talked about their designs. The lightsaber, isn't really descriptive of any type of sword. He actually named several different types of swords and said that they don't really match up with anything, which, honestly, I think based on the shape of the blade alone, closest thing I could say is a rapier, but it looks pretty different too. And the Halo energy sword obviously kind of looks like a punch dagger, a really big punch dagger. But he then went on to say that the Halo energy sword wins in design because there's a gap in the middle that's probably meant to catch the blade and disarm them. Which, plenty of the styles do that. Actually, plenty of weapons throughout history have done that. In fact, the most notable that I can think of would be the scythes, which were made to catch a weapon or a person's arm, something, and twist, and then either disarm the opponent or subdue them. Which, honestly, yes, this is perfectly reasonable, except for a couple things. First off, the gap between two blades makes it, in the middle of blade that's even on both sides, makes it extremely difficult to catch a blade of any kind unless they're going with thrusting attacks, and even then it would still be extremely difficult. Because you can't go from the sides, you could go from under or over, but that's, again, only if they're thrusting down, up, or really just that. Or straight ahead if you're taller or shorter than them, but regardless, it's quite difficult. And I'll get into the style of lightsaber fighting later, but... And even if that was the case, the way it's designed, you could easily just, before they twist, slide the lightsaber down, and you're hitting their hand. And they can't do anything about it. They could drop the weapon, but then they don't have a weapon in their hand. Then again, I'm not sure how the Halo energy swords work, so it could just deactivate it, or not. But regardless, they're going to either lose their weapon or their hand, and then their weapon. So really, the design isn't much of an advantage. Heck, I'd say the design's pretty bad. The YouTube channel ZNA Production, which my channel has talked about before, actually made a version of the Halo energy sword that with a superior design. because the original design has spikes that go on that point towards your arm. Normally, that isn't all that bad, but if you miss your shot, the person blocks it, or really you hit anything, if they're with any resistance, you are getting stabbed in the arm. Now, of course, the aliens that use it have perfectly symmetrical hands, but remember, we're not talking about the people who use them. So regardless, and besides, perfectly symmetrical hands will only do so much against such a faulty design. So really, the design isn't an advantage. It's actually more of a hindrance, for whoever's wielding it. And then the lightsabers. I mean, yeah, there are problems such as them not having a guard, so you could easily just slide down. But ultimately, I can see why that's not all that bad. Especially the way that lightsaber fighting is in the movies, but regardless, not getting into style. And so ultimately, yeah, the design for the lightsaber is far superior. And then, of course, he goes on with the battery life, with lightsabers being able to function for hours, and then the Halo Energy Sword only lasting 10 hits, which is obviously superior. But then after that, he goes into the fact that 10 hits is probably enough, which, yeah, skilled fighters can end a fight in less than 10 hits. Heck, 10 hits is more than what should be enough if you're good at if your weapon's good and if you get a good hit in. So yeah, that's reasonable enough. But yeah, for battery life, it definitely goes to the lightsaber, assuming we're not talking about proto-sabers, which we're not. We're not talking about anything but the classic lightsaber design. No crossguard, no double-bladed lightsabers, no weird Swiss Army knife lightsaber that Rey had in the new movie. Classic lightsabers. But regardless, battery life definitely goes to the lightsabers. And of course, he ends it by saying that by basing fighting off of sword fighting entirely off of fencing. And as you know, fencing only allows you to attack with thrusting attacks. Except there's one massive problem here. Throughout the entirety of Star Wars, anyone, even people who haven't had any formal lightsaber training, yeah, some have stabbed, but it's almost always being swung like an actual sword. With the exception, of course, there are swords that are entirely meant for stabbing, but they swing it like you would an actual sword. Honestly, I wouldn't even say that the style in Star Wars can be completely compared to fencing. Matter of fact, I don't think it's fair to say anything is similar to fencing. I don't even think the footwork's anywhere similar to it. No, it's not even close. Honestly, I think wushu is the closest comparison. And I think I've seen a bit of kendo added into it, maybe some kenjutsu. But regardless, not fencing. I mean, it's possible that there has been some fencing in it that I've just missed, but regardless, he was completely wrong on the point of fighting style. And it's true, if they were only fencing, it's possible that the design could have been used, to the advantage of, the energy sword, to disarm them, if he's fast enough. But, based on, logic, seeing anyone who's ever used a lightsaber, or just knowledge of how people fight, any person, not just trained people, the advantage definitely goes to the lightsaber. So, ultimately, that is me debunking game theory. And honestly, kind of surprised it took me this long to debunk his obviously wrong theory. So, thank you all for watching. This is Randoman, signing off.